This was my first project boat. I had the motor running well, the gel coat waxed, the electrics fixed up. It'd be nice to have a bimini and some better seating, but we were camped with the boat anchored by the beach. One night in a shallow anchor, gale force winds came through. This boating beginner didn't think anything of it till one of my kids found it the next morning. "Dad, why is the boat full of water?" After, prematurely saying goodbye to my first project boat, I picked up another that I'd found through the Gumtree app the following weekend. No point wasting time. There are plenty of great things about this 5.5 metre half-cabin Stagecraft which was built before I was born. Imagine my surprise when I discovered that Chrysler outboard parts are hard to come by in Australia and the parts needed to be shipped from Florida. This 45-year-old Chrysler started well, idled okay, then headed out the inlet. Opening up the throttle revealed about 2 seconds of joy. Then it bogged down horribly and ambled along at about 6 knots was all there was to enjoy. I learn as I go, and this bogging down problem wasn't something I'd experienced before. Wasn't sure what the problem was or how to fix it. The highlight of the day was these little guys showing up, which cheered me up no end. How cool is that? They're swimming with me. Wow. Needless to say, this project was put on the back burner for a bit. But when the summer holidays turned up and the family were ready to go on holiday tomorrow, it was time to look into the likely culprit of this bogging down issue. I must be brave. Open up the 2 carburetors that service this 4-cylinder, 2-stroke, 105 horsepower remnant from the Flower Power era. Okay, so this motor's been bogging down a lot, and it will sit at idle, it will accelerate up, we'll go at full open throttle with full power for maybe 3 or 4 seconds, and then it'll bog down and be really difficult to run. I really tried to avoid taking the carbies off. I blew out the fuel lines, I had a look at the pumping pressure, all that kind of stuff, because I wanted to avoid taking these off because I cannot get a carby kit and I cannot replace anything that I see needing to fix in here anyway. So took it off to clean up the jets and everything, and discovered this little injury in the carby float, this one here. And so it's got a hole in it, and so I can see now the issue is that the fuel bowl isn't getting the right amount of fuel sitting there because this keeps sinking. I pulled apart an old Johnson carby kit that I've got for different motor I had, and nothing there is gonna suit this in a tiny piece. So what I've done is I've got this today Dynasteel Plastic Repair, and I'm going to give this a go. It does say that it works on petrol and diesel fuel tanks, so let's call this a tiny little fuel tank. Let's make this as clean as it says, shave down the area a little bit, and then see if I can get this putty to work, and we'll give that a test. Dynasteel Plastic Repair. And the reason I'm not even disassembling the float is because I don't want to touch gaskets or anything like that. I know I need to be careful though that I don't wreck the needle by pushing on it too much. This float controls that little intake needle right down in there. The way these epoxies work is that there's an outside shell and an inside goop, and you mix them together, and that's what's going to bond. So you have to mix it together to a consistent color, and that shows that it's ready to go, and then not long to play with. Hope this works. I'm on a time limit because if this isn't ready to go by 12 o'clock, we're going somewhere else, and we're going camping somewhere else. Sets in 4 minutes. Hope it cures in 15 minutes. It's 11:30. I can get this cured back together and tested by 12 o'clock. I hope. Tiniest little bit here. So I'm going to clean up the rest of this as well as I can without disassembling it entirely, and make sure I pump bunch of throttle carby cleaner down the jets anywhere I can see, and then reassemble it, by which time this should have cured 15 minutes. Alright, so that's 20 minutes later. That's all cured there now and looking okay. I'm sure if you were an expert, you'd sand that back and everything, but really what I want to do is just get it running.
So you were going to make a decision by 12?
Yeah, but let's call it 1. That is actually quite thick plastic. No wonder that was hard to get through. Alright, moment of truth here. It runs. Plan A. Let's go on holidays. So the next morning we were off. There's a free camp down on the Gippsland Lakes that we've stayed at before. Isn't too far from the closest boat ramp and doesn't seem to have many visitors. And so the place might be free. You beauty. Heading to the ramp, the next day we were slowed down for a while by the depth of the sand, And my choice, yes, my choice of taking the more challenging road out. I reckon the fiberglass boat and trailer is well over a ton and we just weren't moving. We were a little bit stuck. My wife was undoubtedly impressed. Tried the forward-back rocking motion, a bit of power while rotating the steering wheel, reducing tyre pressure on the car, but couldn't quite bring the trailer back onto the hardpack. So without wasting any more time, we had to pull the trailer off.
Oh, that worked. Okay.
Without much more to tell, we were in the water and this old vintage ran really well. The fun began. After a few hours of runtime though, that old bogginess was back. Had the epoxy dissolved. Back at the campsite and with less tools available, again I was able to take the carbies off and have a look inside. I must say I was very pleased to see that epoxy seal was as good as new. Maybe it was just a bit of grit from the old tank, or more likely a bit of grit from that ridiculous disintegrating chrome paint that someone had previously painted on the outside of the carbies. Perhaps it was just paint flecks getting in and stuffing the whole thing up. So I gave it another good clean up, then got out the portable air compressor and once again cleaned out all the jets. That did the trick, as the next few days were a lot of fun and without mechanical incident. To keep this motor running longer though, I will have to get some carby kits shipped and rebuild them properly. This time round though, I'll call that a project complete. Thanks for watching.